Welcome to this week's edition of the Sixers Stock Report, presented as always by our good friends from
Bagels Co. Guys, you can go and get 15 to 20 different types of bagels, 30 different types of cream cheese, premium coffee at an affordable price, gigantic Brooklyn-style bagels made right here in Philadelphia. All I need you to do right now is go to their store locator at www.thebagelsandco.com/store-locator, and you'll find the closest Bagels & Co. near you so you can be an everyday customer.
All right. Well, normally we do Sixers or just go around the league, and sometimes we'll mix in a few other things like college or whatever it might be. But in this particular episode, because we're so close to the postseason, most teams with less than 3 games, 2 games, whatever they have on their schedule, we wanted to do this because this is our last one before the start of the postseason, which begins with the play-in on Tuesday around the entire NBA. So we wanted to do team-related stock up, stock down around the association because of that. And I throw, as always, if you're new to us, I throw a random name of a player or a team or a subject in general to the guys, and they go stock up, stock down, and whatever order we might do. So let's have a little fun here, presented by Bagels & Co. We begin right now with the Western Conference Dallas Mavericks. Stock up, stock down for what they are doing right now as a team that is 50-30 and have won 9 of their last 10, 5 games in a row. How could they not be stock up?
I think that's an easy call. I think the best way you can tell that Dallas is in a good spot right now is that Luka seems to be in real consideration for probably not winning MVP, but I think he might end up finishing second because for whatever reason, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander being great on a great team all year has kind of fallen off the radar a little bit. Again, partially because he plays in Oklahoma City, but also because Luka is just putting up crazy numbers. Him and Kyrie Irving have figured some things out. Defensively, I think they've been improved as of late. I think it certainly helped. They got some big man depth at the deadline, and they've fleshed out their rotation a little bit. They're in a good spot right now, and it appears we're on track for yet another Dallas Mavericks LA Clippers playoff series, which
third one, right?
Yes, and they've been super entertaining, all the ones that we've gotten, like some absolutely ridiculous Luka and Kawhi performances. But man, it's going to be rough for one of those teams to go home in round one potentially.
Yeah. And it changes a lot too, because we've talked a lot about Paul George and his future and attached to the Sixers. If they get knocked out, like we talked about in round number 1, whether he performs well or not, that could shift where they look at their direction of their franchise maybe, or where he decides where he wants to be.
Yeah, I do think the Clippers, at least you could say, one of the ways they benefit from being the second team in LA is that there will be a mini meltdown if they lose in the first round and, what are they going to do? But it's a lot different than if the Lakers flame out, right? Like they at least have the cover of people aren't really locked in on the Clippers. And just there will be a lot of scuttlebutt about Paul George's free agency, how much do you pay James Harden, all that. I think they're in a spot where they might be able to survive a bad loss like that. Will it feel good? No. Is Steve Ballmer going to be thrilled about that? Potentially paying Paul George tons of money as they're opening up the new arena. And, they declared that LA was their town, and they've done, nothing really of consequence since. Yep. They made 1 conference finals, and that's the high water mark of that partnership so far. So we'll see. I'm more focused on, luckily we don't have to care about any of that. I just can say that's going to be a great playoff series with awesome matchups, and I'm excited for that.
Kyrie Irving been playing really well. Derek has played 58 of the 70 games that they have played, quietly averaging 25.6 points per game, 5 rebounds, 5 assists on the season.
Yeah, and their defense has been good enough, which I think when you start looking at that pairing, a lot of people were skeptical whether or not it would be. No, they're playing very good basketball. They've made themselves into a out of the play-in position. They've already clinched a playoff spot. Currently 5th in the West, like you mentioned. And like I said, they've been a good enough defense. Not good, but not a train wreck. I think they're right around league average. And when you have Kyrie and Luka on offense, you can make that work. I think they've gotten some pretty good play from their big men, some lob threats, some pick and roll threats. They've been playing good basketball.
All right, let's go stock up, stock down. Let's move to the Eastern Conference right now. We've talked a lot about the Orlando Magic because of the Sixers playing them and how they might be able to sneak into that top 6 because of the Magic. So we'll stay away from them. If you didn't see that, make sure you go check us out on our PHLY Sixers podcast, both on Wednesday and Thursday, of course. Well, I'm going to go right now to the Milwaukee Bucks. Locked in a playoff.
About as down as down can
This
be.
might be one of the more fun
Stock
ones to talk
up.
about. It is
Stock
definitely
down.
stock down.
Why is it stock down, Derek, for the Milwaukee Bucks?
Well, first, even after winning 2 in a row, they've lost, I think they're 4-6 in their last 10 games.
Yep.
They're right around 500 since Doc Rivers took over.
Those losses are to bad teams.
Bad teams.
too.
They have not been playing good
Toronto.
basketball. Yes.
Detroit.
The Grizzlies, the Wizards.
Yeah.
Come on.
And Giannis is hurt. And none of those are good. They still might end up being the 2nd seed in the East, in part because one of their main key threats in Orlando is falling down and has a chance to fall down to 6. The Knicks still present a little bit of a potential threat, but they should still be good to go in terms of playoff positioning. But they are not playing good basketball. You don't really know what their identity is. You don't know if they're going to defend enough. Dame and Giannis pick and roll still seems like it's not where we all expected it to be. Now, granted, we all had lofty expectations for that. That team, the way that team is built, they need that pick and roll threat to be elite. It doesn't feel like it is quite as comfortable as it should be. And without that, like I said, they have real defensive concerns. Chris Middleton has never looked, for a couple of years now, he's been on the decline. He's just not nearly as reliable, either in terms of his availability or his effectiveness as he used to be, and they just don't have the depth to compensate for that.
Yeah, I remember. I think what really drove home for me that Middleton was not a safe bet anymore was that game the Sixers played in Milwaukee last season where James Harden just beat him like a drum for all of the fourth quarter, essentially. And you don't want to overvalue one game samples and things like that, but it was just a perfect snapshot of where Middleton is at right now. And look, he doesn't stay healthy. And when he comes back, it's sort of the same thing the Sixers are dealing with DeAnthony Melton on a smaller scale for the Sixers, because I don't think Melton is as important to their hopes as Middleton is to Milwaukee's. But when he comes back, he looks good, and it's like, oh, look how important this guy is. And then it's a new thing. If it's not the knee, it's something else. As we sort of laughed about on yesterday's show, he left a game with mouth trauma, according to the team the other night, which I'm not going to get into that again. But you wouldn't have to think about it as much if the Dame-Giannis partnership was as advertised, and it has not been. And I think I had concerns about how their identity as a team would change when they made the Dame Lillard trade in the first place. But even I, as not a critic of the trade, but a skeptic of the trade, wouldn't have sat here and said, man, they were going to completely fall apart on defense. I thought at least Giannis and Brook Lopez give you the spine of a team that is going to consistently play pretty well on that end of the floor. They go long stretches of games where it's just like, what the hell are these guys doing? They don't look like they've spoken to one another. They don't look like they care. And I know that Dame Lillard has been a problematic guy on that end for a long time, but I didn't think it would get this bad. It honestly doesn't look like these guys enjoy playing together a lot of the time. You have Doc Rivers saying he's blaming equipment managers and everyone but himself, essentially. Well, that's no surprise. Maybe the equipment manager blame is a surprise. A lot of bad, toxic vibes, which is not where you want to be in mid-April, to put it lightly.
Well, and Drew Holiday, meanwhile, signs a 4-year extension in Boston.
130 million, something like that.
100 plus million, and they're 62 and 17
something like that.
on the season, and a 13.5 game lead over the Bucks in the standings.
Is that good?
I think so.
It's not bad. I am real interested in how they keep that core together, though. When you start talking about White and Porzingis, like, you can't keep 5-6 big money contracts together in this NBA. We will see what they do.
Especially Brown is on a monster deal.
Yep. So there's that. And remember, people are calling Damian Lillard right now lame Lillard in Milwaukee because they did not want to. And Giannis was a big part of that, of why Drew Holiday is not there. That's
part of his legacy, 100%.
Absolutely.
100%.
Cannot be ignored. Let's move to the Western Conference again. I want to go back to the West. Interesting team. Very interesting team. The Phoenix Suns.
Oof.
Stock up.
Oh,
Stock
my
down.
answer is easy. I don't know if you guys thought.
Stock down.
It's got to be stock down.
It is stock down.
They're in a play-in right now if the season ended today.
47-33. Half game back of the Pelicans for the 6th, but they are in the play-in right now.
Yeah.
This is wild with them.
I think the most dispiriting thing, if you're a Suns fan, is I don't think they got a high-end outcome for Beal in terms of health. I don't think they got the low-end outcome, though. Like he's played in what, around 50 games?
Yeah.
If you would have told me before the season that Booker and Durant would be relatively healthy and you get 50-plus games of Beal, I would have expected you got to at least be like
52 and something
53,
right now. Right.
54 wins. To be sitting at 47-33, you don't even have a chance to win 50 games with that group. And this is year one, right? Like KD's not getting any younger. Bradley Beal's not going to get more healthy as time goes on. You're going to expect him to break down sooner and to break down for longer periods of time. And it just feels like, well, one, they haven't been good enough, but it does feel like the thesis of a 3-star super team in this league under this CBA, this might be the proof of it not really working like that anymore.
Yeah, well, certainly if you're going to invest so heavily in those 3 pieces, they have to actually work. Like if you look at their offensive rating right now, they're not a top 10 offense.
So how much do they actually miss a point guard? In today's league, we talk about a point guard not mattering as much. They probably need a point guard to kind of set things up, even though all 3 of them have the ball in their hands. You probably missed that.
Yeah, I mean, it's a lot of your turn, my turn kind of stuff. And it's just they have not been. Like their depth is so compromised.
Yeah.
So compromised.
And you're getting a great Grayson Allen season too.
Well, even Beal, Beal's not, playing all that great, but he's at least like, if the theory is, well, he will get easier shots and he'll make them. Yeah, he's shooting like 42% from 2.
He shot 7 times.
It's just when everybody's value is predicated on having the ball, there is a little bit of like, well, there's only one ball. And that phrase gets used a little too much, but you need your 3rd and 4th options to do stuff without the ball, and Bradley does not really do that.
Well, what that team looked like at one point. Matt Ishbia.
The new owner, man, always wants to come in, swinging his dick around and saying, this is my team now. Here's the other thing, too. It's not like the Stars don't take threes, but when your big 3 of Durant, Booker, and Beal are as ball dominant as they are, and they're adding up to take 15 threes a game between the 3 of them,
you need more.
That's not going to cut it. Like you are the shot creators and the floor spacers at all times, those 3. Now, Grayson Allen, granted, is also getting some up, but
he's getting some good shots up.
Eric Gordon getting them up, but you want those shots to be funneled more toward the best players, and those guys are mid-range heavy guys. That's just how they've always played. The argument you would make if you're a Suns truther, and I could understand it to an extent, is that in the playoffs, I think the mid-range is emphasized a bit more. Teams sell out against the three-point line, and having Durant and Booker especially, but also Beal to a lesser extent, to step in and take those type of shots and make them at a high enough clip, that is what you're hoping for, essentially, is that it works better in a slower, tenser, tighter game in the playoffs, but they still have enough top-end talent that you would think, all right, these guys can win more than a ceiling of 49 games in the regular season.
Well, good news. They only owe Bradley Beal $160 million more. That's really the one that confounds me. Like, if you have a chance to get Kevin Durant, you get Kevin Durant. No, apologies to my
and Durant's
co-host.
been really good, right? He's 27, 6, and 5 on good efficiency.
I don't even want to say spending the last assets, because it's not like Bradley Beal costs that much, but spending the last bit of flexibility you have on somebody like that. If that third option, if you, like Kyle brought up, the super team may not work in today's NBA, and there's certainly a lot of people who believe that, and there's certainly an argument for that. It's going to be real tough to build them. But if you're going to go that route and take those risks, it's got to be someone like Mikal Bridges, who might fit that role a little better than somebody like Bradley Beal.
What a suck up you are over there.
No, but like that kind of archetype where you're providing two-way value makes a lot more sense than another off-ball or a ball-dominant guard who now has to play off-ball.
All right, let's get to one more. The Los Angeles Lakers have won 7 of their last 10, but lost their last 2. They are a play-in team. That said, half a game back of the Kings for 8, 2 games back of the Suns that we just spoke about in the 9. So, stock up, stock down, or are we in the middle?
Yeah, it's kind of in the middle because
Like
outside of the last 2 games, they've been playing well, but it hasn't changed their positioning and their reality.
Also, Anthony Davis missed an important game with a headache. So, I on principle, I want to be like, can I really give you a stock up for that? Like, and maybe it was, I don't know if it was a migraine.
I don't know. Scottie Pippen missed the playoff game with a headache.
I don't know. When they ruled him out with a headache, I was like,
well, you saw that.
Could you at least say migraine? And I'd be like, okay, I get it. Those are debilitating. Like, people can't see straight or whatever. They make it sound like it's like, oh man, he's got a big boo-boo on his head. Like, oh no, he can't play in that game. And I don't know, whatever. I'd say I've been historically an AD skeptic or detractor at times, and I don't.
Once he left New Orleans, I was done. Went to LA. I was out.
I just think.
I mean, he's going to be in the short running of Defensive Player of the Year.
Yeah,
he'll make an All NBA team.
He's All NBA. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I just feel like with the amount of games they've actually gotten from LeBron and AD,
AD's only missed like maybe 5 or 6 games.
That's what I mean. Like they've gotten a healthy AD. LeBron's had some things here and there, like he had the ankle and he's missed some games recently due to illness. You got to be better with those 2 on your team. Like recently they've trended up, and maybe I still think it's a team that because it has LeBron on it, because Anthony Davis's defensive ceiling is as high as it is, they still could put a scare into somebody to start the playoffs. But I just come back to like, you guys got to be a little better before I'm giving you like a woo, stock up, baby.
Is this the first time neither of us raised a card?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it was.
Listen, I'll get the tentative, but it's more like, can I just put like a cover up to there?
Yeah, there you go.
The chart's not finished yet. It could very well nosedive coming soon. Who knows?
All right. Well, there's so many more that we could get to, but we are out of time here on this version of the Sixers Stock Report. Stock up, stock down, presented by
our good friends at Bagels Co. Guys, again, go to www.thebagelsandco.com/store-locator to find the closest one. Great variety of bagels, great variety of cream cheese, and premium coffee at a price that beats all of the national brands and chains.
All right, we'll talk to you next week when the playoffs get underway. We'll have a stock up, stock down version of the postseason, maybe for your Philadelphia basketball team. We'll talk to you then.
We all silly like the mayor.